What's going on, everybody? It's Rich Perez welcoming you back into another dose of your weekly rundown. Big round of applause. I'm gonna keep it coming though, because we took a hiatus, but we are back for a reason. And I think if you see Kayson's shirt, you get the little idea of why we were gone for a bit. But make some noise, because joined as always, my co-host, all the way from the Orlando, Kayson Davis. How you doing, Kay?
I'm doing good, man. My apologies. I had a lot going on from moving from Miami to Orlando to figuring some shit out. Excuse my language, but figuring some stuff out. But I'm back. I got things situated a little bit. We back. We should be going strong now without a break.
Yeah, man. It was the last couple months has been crazy for both of us, man. Big moves for the rundown host this summer, but we're here though.
That is right. Shout out to Orlando, man. It's been fun so far.
Absolutely, man. And speaking on the topic of Orlando, we got to get to this NBA conversation. Big news coming out today. Ben Simmons, point guard for the Philadelphia 76ers, at least currently anyway, has come out and said he will not report to camp with the Sixers. Him and his agent, Rich Paul, have made the statement that he is willing to do whatever it takes to get out of Philadelphia. And he feels like he will be able to hold out longer than the Sixers will. He's willing to not get paid, and he's willing to stay away from the team until they can come together on a trade package to get him up out of there. So, I mean, a couple of interesting things here, man. Usually when you see stuff like this, your team is not a championship contender, and that's not the case with the Philadelphia 76ers. And when we talk about Ben Simmons, we've had guys on here before. I've said it a bunch of times. I'm still a believer in Ben Simmons. When you look at Ben Simmons' game, he does everything that you want extremely well, except shoot the ball. You know what I mean? And shooting the ball, which I've seen Max Kellerman say a bunch of times, is really supposed to be like the dessert piece of your meal. And in this NBA, today's NBA, it's a very big deal. But I mean, at this point, I think he's going to end up getting his way, because now he's a distressed asset. And Philadelphia was already asking for a king's ransom for him, and people just weren't budging on it. And they were, from what we've heard, they were getting good offers that they just didn't want to take. But they'll probably have to take less to get him out of there.
Yeah, because just how the situation is, it seems like it's going to end up being like a situation like what happened with Harden. And he's trying to force his way out. When teams know that a guy is trying to force his way out, they're not going to try to give you 100% like on the dollar. They'll try to shortchange you because they know like you kind of have to get rid of the guy. Now, if the Sixers are lucky, they can try to play teams against each other, kind of how the Thunder did, but the Thunder were kind of in a little different situation. But that'd be their best hope, to kind of try to dangle like, okay, the Timberwolves are offering D-Lo, you got to give me something better than that. I think that's the only way of trying to get out of that. And even still, some of them are probably just going to try to say they're trying to get us up our price because they know he wants out. And when players want out, teams know, most of the time teams try to lowball the other team because like you have to get rid of him eventually, or you're going to try finding him, which probably won't work in this situation, but they know eventually you got to get rid of him. So they're going to try to get him for as cheap as possible.
Yeah, my bad. A bunch of wind just started coming over here out of nowhere. That's my AC. Yeah, man. But do you remember like when all this was happening over the summer though? Didn't I sent you one of the trade packages that they turned down, and I think what was it? D'Angelo Russell was the offer, right?
What for the Timberwolves? I know I like the offer from the Kings. I think the Kings have a great offer with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I agree with that too. We touched on that last time we had talked about it before this really turned into something huge. But I believe that they offered. We want to go back in the DMs.
You did send me that. It was D'Lo and someone else, but I think D'Lo was on the table though, and you said they should take that.
That was a great offer.
Yeah, it actually, when you think about it, It is a great offer. I don't know. I still like the Aaron Fox, but I think D'Lo over there. If you're gonna move D'Lo back to the one, and if he can play like how he's playing in Brooklyn, maybe if you give him the keys to that offense, you add that with Joel Embiid and those shooters that you got over there. I think that is a great offer.
I got it right here. The Timberwolves offered D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jaden McDaniels for Ben Simmons. Obviously, you want to get some draft capital in there, but that's a great offer for Philadelphia, especially when you want a scoring point guard. D'Angelo Russell's playmaking skills are actually very underrated in my opinion, but he can score the ball very well. That could have ended up being that would have been a great piece for Philadelphia. I'm kind of scratching my head now that they wouldn't take that.
Yeah, definitely. Like they could add draft capital to that, like you said. I think that'd be a great offer if you value D'Lo as he was that player coming from Brooklyn. I think last year he dealt with a lot of injuries and maybe he wasn't able to show. And in Minnesota hasn't been the greatest spot for basketball players to go right now, so he hasn't been able to show. And he's with his friend, but he hasn't been able to show what he can do. I think if you get him over there in Philly, he's a shooter. He's gonna bring you the exact opposite of what Ben Simmons is giving you. He's gonna be able to space the floor for Joel Embiid. And he's still a playmaker. So I think if you remember, he came out of college. People wanted him to be a point guard for his playmaking ability. So he's still a playmaker, and he showed that with Brooklyn. So I think that'd be a great point guard for them to get to.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, in Minnesota, he's going to be Ben Simmons will be their point guard. You know what I mean? Like that, you can slot Anthony Edwards into the starting lineup at that point because I believe one of the reasons that they had him coming off the bench is they didn't feel him and D'Angelo Russell fit well together playing in the starting lineup at the same time. Well, that's to me that type of deal is like when the Atlanta Hawks and the Dallas Mavericks made the draft night trades for Luka Doncic and Trae Young. Like you're both winning at that point.
And I think you keep Karl Anthony Towns happy too. Obviously, they made the trade for D'Lo to keep Karl Anthony Towns happy, but you've seen the videos of him and Ben Simmons up all night playing games together and stuff. They're really good friends too. So I think you get rid of one of his friends, but you bring in another one of his friends. I'm sure the thing that make him the most happy if you can get both of them over there, you can have all his friends. But you get rid of one friend, and you bring in another one. You still keep your superstar happy.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Couple other things we got to get into. Opening night is around the corner. The Brooklyn Nets taking on the Milwaukee Bucks in a rematch of the Eastern Conference semifinals. Went to 7 straight games. Obviously, no Kyrie Irving in that series, and James Harden playing on one leg. And then following that up, you got the new big three over in LA with the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Golden State Warriors and the return of Klay Thompson. I know we've all been waiting for the NBA.
They said Klay's not playing until Christmas, possibly.
Not the return of Klay Thompson. That's a little lackluster to me now. But I know we've all been waiting for the NBA to come back, and we've all been eager to see this Lakers team get the ball rolling already. And me and you have been on the same page of we believe that this is going to work. I don't know if you've seen the video the other day of Russell Westbrook in the gym shooting some 3-pointers, wasn't missing a thing. And I know you can go to the Ben Simmons effect. We see it all the time shooting threes. But I'll tell you what, when I was watching that video at first, they were just it was kind of like free throws almost to him, even though he's shooting it from beyond the arc. And I'm like, all right, I want to see him do that on the move though. And then I saw him getting put through a couple workouts where he was shooting it on the move. So I like what I see. Obviously, you got to see it in game, but Russ is making the attempt to add that to his game. And I'm of the belief that, you can teach an old dog new tricks. I think we've seen it before. Derrick Rose has added that to his game, but that wasn't in his game before. And I'm just excited, man. I'll give it to you because I got a lot to say, but I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the eyes are going to be on the Lakers to see what they can do this year. But I've been telling people, too, I don't think Bron would have made this move if he didn't think he can figure it out. I think this is one of those in Bron we trust situations. Is Westbrook going to be a great three-point shooter at this point? Obviously not. So, obviously, you want to get too hype over training videos and stuff like that. But I take it back to when he played with James Harden in Houston. He's going to figure out how he can be a great player still. When he was over there and James Harden had the ball a lot, and Bron's maybe more of a passion than James Harden is. he's going to be able to get in where he fits in and figure a couple things out. So I think they'll be all right over there. I don't know about his 3-point shooting, but we'll see. I think they're not going to try to kill. If you think about how the Lakers won that 2020 championship, it wasn't really trying to kill people with 3-pointers. It was more trying to kill people on the defensive end. So if they hang their hat on that side of the ball again, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, I still have questions about the Lakers rotation. They bring back Rashawn Rondo after he was bought out. I think adding Kendrick Nunn over there is a sneaky good move, just like I think adding Justice Winslow to the Clippers is another sneaky good move. We'll get to that a little later. But I mean, Rondo's gonna have a place on that team. It's not gonna be so much what we were complaining about with his time with the Clippers and Ty Lue, where they're just not playing him enough. Obviously, they're gonna have him play on the floor a bit, but I'm wondering how it works. It's either backup point guard, and then you move Talen Horton-Tucker to the 3 and got Kendrick Nunn playing as your backup 2. Who is their starting 2? You know what I mean? Like that's more so what I'm questioning right now, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've actually put that information out yet on what they're thinking their plans are there.
And I'm pretty sure they're not going to yet. I don't know. I think they're going to try to figure it out. It's going to be for them. I think they're going to try to get through this season with being healthy. So it's going to be like Bron's going to miss some time, AD's going to miss some time, Russ is going to miss some time. So I think the question for me comes in, what are you going to do when you may want to put Russ and Rondo on the floor at the same time? I think that's going to be difficult. I think anything else you kind of be able to figure out. But if you think about down the stretch, especially like you said, they don't have no solidified 2 guard. If you can move Russ to that 2 and maybe have Rondo in there with them, if you could get it to work, that'd be. Think about that lineup. You think about Rondo, Russ, Westbrook, AD, maybe Melo. That sounds like a killer lineup if you could get it to work. So I think those are going to be times where it's like, do you really want to risk putting those 2 guys out there together? And if they can figure it out, that'd be great. But if not, it could be a disaster.
Well, that's the thing, man. We've all seen Carmelo Anthony's interviews, whether it was First Take or the other interviews that he's done since he signed with the Lakers. Now that he's got that, shout out to Carmelo Anthony too. Just published his book. I'm definitely gonna go get that. What he said is true. What team can you think of that has more knowledge and experience than the Lakers right now? Like, that's just you want to sit at that table and listen to those guys speak their mind on ball, right? So I really think that they're gonna get it figured out, and it definitely is championship or bust. And we know that they've all had this conversation too. Before it was all set in stone, they sat down with each other. Carmelo said LeBron called him, "It's time, I need you." He sat with Russ, and they discussed with Anthony Davis, how is this going to work, who's stepping back, and all of that. We know that these guys aren't going to be selfish and things like that. We're going to dive into this one a little bit too, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to dissect here. But, I mean, I think they're going to get it figured out. They might not hit the ground running. You know what I mean? Like they might not come out just killing it. But sooner rather than later, I think that this group is going to get it figured out. And I think at the very least, it's a Western Conference Finals team. As long as they're not coasting through the season, and end up with a lower seed, this is a Western Conference Finals team. I feel very strongly about this team, and the acquisitions obviously need more than others, but that's one thing. And I got a question for you, Kay. How we feeling about Carmelo Anthony's comments regarding LeBron James when he said he's the GM?
I think we all it's. I mean, you never seen a player say it, but we've all known that LeBron is like the GM. I don't know if he really meant it in like that sense, but we knew LeBron was the GM. People call him the GM. We don't like. It's you never seen a player say it, but it's been out there, so it's not too surprising. It's surprising to see like a player be like, all right, this guy's the GM, but like it's been out there.
One other thing I got before we move on here, man, because I saw this on the internet, and I think it's true, man, because, again, you know how we feel about Russell Westbrook and the position of point guard. I was on here with you and a couple different people now. We talked about point guards, and I've had this discussion on the internet as well. If Russ finally gets his ring, somebody got to come out that top 5. Somebody's got to come out that top 5. He's got everything but the ring. He's honestly I say all the time, passing is completely underrated. I think he's one of the best passers we have in the league today, one of the best playmakers we have in the league today.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jamal Crawford that came out and said that. You could put him in there now, but you know how it goes with people nowadays is you got to have that ring. So he definitely has the accolades. He has the MVP. There's a lot of people you want to put Chris Paul in that top 5. He doesn't have an MVP. He has 2 scoring titles. I think 3 assist titles now. 4 seasons averaging a triple double. So all the accolades are there. It's just when you try to put him in that top 5, it's always going to be where's that ring? Where's that ring? So if he gets that ring, you definitely can put him in that top 5. Because there's no debate. The MVP, he got it. The ring, he got it. Scoring title, he got it. Assist titles, he got it. The only thing he probably doesn't have is like a defensive player of the year award and a defensive rebounding, like leading the league in rebounding. So, and he has all the all-stars, probably like 9 all-stars right now. So he has all the accolades. It's just nowadays it's all about that ring.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And let me say this about the Lakers. I think they should be NBA Finals team, like conference finals, sure, but like Kawhi's out for most likely the season. Even when he comes back, he's not gonna be able to catch a rhythm to help them go on a run. Probably Jamal Murray is gonna miss most of the season with his ACL tear. You could say the Jazz, maybe, but the Suns, maybe. But like, I think the Lakers should be able to get through, even if they don't have a great regular season. If they can get it clicking by playoff time, I think they should be an NBA Finals team at best. And let me say it here: I'm predicting the Lakers Warriors conference finals. The Warriors are back, baby. Wiggins 2022.
Oh my God! He's doing it again.
Wiggins 2022.
Let you down 2 years in a row, and you want to go back to it. No.
See, you can't.
Don't do it to yourself.
That's the thing. You can't give up on players too early. Wiggins 2022. The Warriors in the conference finals, led by Steph. We're gonna have a healthy James Wiseman. Clay's gonna come back. They got Draymond Green still over there. Andre Iguodala. Like I said, the West is not gonna be as tough as it usually is. I got the Lakers Warriors conference finals right now.
Well, you say I'm not mad at that take, by the way. The Warriors conference finals. That other stuff, you know how I feel about that. But Kawhi, you don't think Kawhi is going to get into Kawhi is going to get into a rhythm because he's coming off the ACL injury. Clay hasn't played basketball in 2 years. Not only did he tear his ACL, but I believe there was an Achilles injury last time out, was it not?
Yeah. But I'm not banking on Clay. Like I said, the West is not going to be as strong as it was this year. So I'm really banking on Steph, a healthy James Wiseman getting better, Draymond playing back at his strength, having Iguodala back there helping them, and my man Wiggins 2020.
Look, man, I really like what the Clippers did this offseason. We were on such a long hiatus that we didn't get to really talk about it that much. But, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to out what we used to do, but I'll just give you a hint if you guys have been fans of us for a long time. We used to do another podcast back in the day. That's all you're getting. There was one episode on that podcast where we had a few people on there, and you guys know I'm a Miami Heat fan. The Miami Heat had a guy on that team, Duke Blue Devil, lottery pick, didn't do that great. Then all of a sudden, a very good defensive player. All of a sudden, Eric Spoelstra has the idea to make him the team's point guard. And from that moment on, as long as he was playing the one with the ball in his hands, he was averaging about 20 a game, one of the best playmakers on the team, doing great, right? Ends up getting shipped off to Memphis in a trade a little after they had acquired Jimmy Butler to bring Andre Iguodala to Miami. Now, you guys know who I'm talking about is Justice Winslow. He's dealt with his injuries. That's why you haven't seen him a ton. But I told you guys, not you guys listening, but Kay and some other people that we're very cool with. That's a super underrated move for me. Justice Winslow probably will be playing the 3, but he might be the playmaker that the Clippers have long sought out. and you can push him to the one or do a positionless basketball type of thing when Kawhi comes back. Now you say you're not banking on Clay. I think Kawhi, he's a cyborg for a reason. I think he's gonna, excuse me, I think he's gonna come back just fine. So all I'm saying is this. It's been 3 years that we've wanted this LA playoff conference finals. I'm not mad at your take. I definitely think it could happen. Maybe this is the year that we finally get LA versus LA. And you were bigging up Paul George the whole we got plenty of arguments last year in the playoffs with is he a playoff guy? You add that to the mix. Come on now.
Yeah, but I still don't think. Obviously, Kawhi would probably be he's gonna be back around playoff time. I think it's gonna be tough to try to acclimate them into the system. And even if they do get to the conference final, it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna be a 100% healthy Kawhi, and they're not gonna really be at full strength. So I think the Warriors. I would pick the Warriors to knock the Clippers off right now.
Not mad at that. Again, I'm not mad at that. We just spitballing here. Once we get a little sample size, then we can really start forming some opinions. You know what I mean? But I love this. I love the take. I'm there with you. I definitely could see that happening.
Yep, definitely. So we'll see how it goes. I'm believing in Chef Curry, the light skinned assassin.
Yeah, I gave him all my apologies
Yeah.
here last playoffs. What he did, you know, he failed me a little bit in regards to, you know, when I was like, all right, Utah, they going out and blades of glory, but Steph has earned my respect. I'm not hating on him anymore. Um, Shout out to the ladies, man. WNBA playoffs start this Thursday, and my New York Liberty. We back, baby. We in there with Sabrina Ionescu taking the charge. What you thinking, Kay? I know it's Skylar Diggins leading the way over in Phoenix. I know it's going to be a tough one. And to start things off, you got Chicago versus Dallas about 7 o'clock Eastern time, maybe 7 o'clock my time. I'm not sure, but that'll lead the way. And then we got New York Liberty versus Phoenix to follow that up on Thursday night. What we thinking here, man?
I think New York has a shot. It's good for this young team to get into the playoffs and get this experience. I think that'd be great for them going forward. Obviously, Phoenix has that big three over there with Skylar Diggins and them over there. So I think it'd be maybe tough for them to kind of beat a Brittany Grinder and them. But I think win or lose, I think this is a great experience for that young team over there. So I think it's a win-win for them anyway. A lot of people probably didn't even expect them to make the playoffs this year. So for them to get in, get that experience, get another good pick in there, and then I think they'll be good going forward.
You also got to remember, you talk about them being a young team. They led the WNBA in threes attempted this past season, and also their young shooting guard. They've been without her. Sorry for forgetting the young lady's name right now. Was actually a big fan of hers. She's been gone for so long due to complications of the COVID. Man.
But Phoenix over there has a very experienced team, like I said, with that big three. Phoenix is supposed to be a like championship contender team this year. So I think with that experience and that young New York team, I think that it'll be tough. I think they can possibly win it, but I would pick Phoenix right now, just off their big three, their experience. Brittany Grinder, Skylar Diggins, Diana Taurasi. I think those three come playoff time, it'd be tough for New York to beat. But like I said, it's good for them to get in there, get that experience. Shout out to New York. You got the Knicks in there, got the Liberty in there. We're going to talk about that football team soon.
We are going to talk about the football teams too soon. Just looking forward to that. But you're talking goats over there, man. I know it's a long shot, but I don't know, man. Big fans, big supporters of Ionescu. Think she can hold things down now that she's back in effect.
Definitely, like I said, it's a win-win. They shouldn't put their heads down to lose against that team. Like I said, it's a very experienced team. It's a team that's a championship contender. Come to this season, people thought they could win a championship, and they still could win a championship coming out of this first round. So, like I said, that big three over there could knock off anyone. Probably knock off the best team in the league right now.
How we think about that matchup to lead things off with the Dallas Wings and the Chicago Sky?
I think that's going to be an interesting one. It's up in the air to me right now. I don't think any team has the advantage over one or the other. I think Dallas, another young team, they had the number one pick last year. They had a couple top 10 picks this year, so it's another team that's a little surprising for them to get in there. But I will go with Chicago. I've actually watched Chicago a couple times this year. I think Candace Parker over there, Diamond DeShields over there. I like those guys over there. So I think they after Candace Parker came back and started getting a rhythm, that team started getting a rhythm a little bit. So I like Chicago. I'm gonna go with Chicago. But shout out to the Wings too for getting in there because I don't think anyone expected them to get in after having the number one pick.
Yeah, definitely what you want. I'm actually been very excited for Chicago. Since they got that acquisition last summer. But yeah, man, we did say that we are going to talk about these New York football teams. A Giants fan, Kayson's a Giants fan. I think we might have some Jets fans in here. Both teams are 0-2 right now. Completely embarrassed. I want to start with it. Every time football season comes around, we always end with the Giants instead of leading with them. I don't know. I'm very frustrated. You know what I mean? This isn't fun. It's been going on since like 2016. The last time we made the playoffs. Everything's been downhill since the boat trip. I gotta hear my man Salsa Vic over here talking about he has no regrets about the boat trip. I have regrets about the boat trip, and I wasn't even there. I'm going to start off a little lighter. I'm going to go with the Jets because I'm not going to kill my mood just yet. So the New York Jets are 0-2. We knew that the New York Jets were not going to be a good team this season. They're in rebuild mode. They just drafted a quarterback with the second overall pick in Zach Wilson. If you guys have watched me enough, if you guys have talked to me enough, I've been very high on Zach Wilson since October of last year when nobody in the draft boards was talking about him. I think his throwing talents are on Mahomes-type levels. Even in their preseason game against the Green Bay Packers, you heard Aaron Rodgers say how great of a thrower this kid is. And all of that is true. He can throw on the run, make plays with his legs, keep plays going. You're getting a total package with this kid. Now, you saw in game one that they played. You got a rookie in, first time out, didn't look that great to start the first half. And as the second half comes around, things start to progress. He's looking better now. Game two, you got the New England Patriots. It's him versus fellow rookie Mac Jones. And here's the thing I want to say about Mac Jones. They said Mac Jones was the most ready pro out of all the rookie quarterbacks. Not to say he's going to be the most talented of anyone. I wasn't a big fan of Mac Jones. I remember when there were talks of him possibly going number 2 to the 49ers. I thought that was crazy. If you look at what the Patriots are doing with Mac Jones, it's nothing special. A lot of dink-dunk type of stuff. They're not putting him in positions to kind of put the team on his back. You go to number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars are very bad, and he's throwing picks and whatnot. But at least they're putting him in positions. Go ahead. Go out there. Throw the ball. Learn, make mistakes. Learn from them. You know what I mean? Now, the Jets and the Patriots, the divisional rivals, but the Jets and the Patriots have had this long-standing thing in regards to Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was supposed to be the next head coach of the Jets. After Bill Parcells retired, he decided to resign, goes and takes the job in New England. Bill Belichick has kind of made it a thing of torturing the Jets for the last almost 2 decades now. And he's gotten the better of every Jets quarterback you can think of. Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith. We're talking rookies. Even Sam Darnold. Remember Sam Darnold? I'm seeing ghosts. We all remember that. We got to remember, man. And shout out to my man, Stat Cello. Shout out to my man, Uncle Stat. Got to go visit you up in Houston pretty soon, my man. His podcast is coming back, by the way. You guys need to check that one out. But we were having a conversation on Twitter. And I'm a Justin Fields fan. I've argued that Justin Fields could have been the top quarterback taken. Him and Trevor Lawrence have been neck and neck since high school. But Zach Wilson was the number 2 pick for a reason. I think Zach Wilson legitimately might, as long as the Jets do a service to him, put the right pieces around him, he could have a chance to be the best quarterback of any of the quarterbacks in this draft. And this quarterback draft might be one of the best in a while. Now, he threw 4 picks, right? He had a horrible game against the Patriots. Number one, you're playing against a Bill Belichick defense, and you got a rookie out there. And number 2, the key word is rookie. I don't want to kill him that much right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch these games, but at the end of the day, we got to make note the Jets are not a good team. We knew coming in, if you take those green glasses off for a second, if we all knew coming in that after this season's over, they're probably going to be picking in the top 5 again. They just have too many holes. They don't have a great line. Mekhi Becton, one of the best offensive linemen out of last year's draft, he kind of took a step back coming into the season as far as reports go, and then he gets hurt after game 1. One of the reasons why Zach Wilson was so successful in college is because he had one of the best offensive lines in all of college football. This kid had 30, 40 seconds, almost a minute of time. He had all the time in the world to make these amazing throws that we've seen on his college team. Now this is the NFL speed he's got to get used to. And he's got guys coming at him within 3 to 4 seconds. He doesn't have all that time to make the decisions on who he's going to. And a lot of the time, those receivers aren't going to get open anyway. So I'm just saying is pump the brakes on Zach Wilson as far as if you want to call him a bust already, and just let things play out and then understand the factors that come with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't blame Jets fans right now because they kind of went through this for a couple of years now with quarterbacks. But you're right, and I talked about this on there if anyone's been following us for a while. I've always been a big fan of giving quarterbacks time to get in, learn the system, maybe learn under somebody, give them some time to go through the ups, the downs, the experience. I've always been a big person on here about the experience. But I think this is more about the Jets. You talked about how we talked about that they just don't have the talent around him. That's the same thing we talked about when Sam Darnold was there. So it's kind of like the same thing going on with the Jets now. So it's more on them to get the right pieces around him. Now, obviously, like you said, we didn't expect them to come in and be good this year. So that's the thing. But still, the Jets, it's finally time for the Jets to start putting the right pieces around some of these quarterbacks so they can maybe be more successful. Now, like you said, he has to adjust a little bit because he had more time in college with that offensive line, and this is the NFL, and it's not going to be the same like that. But still, I think the Jets should take a little bit of blame here because they haven't put some of these quarterbacks in the best situation. I mean, Sam Darnold hasn't been out of the water over there in Carolina, but he's played better over there a little bit while he's in Carolina. So I think it's on the Jets to get this right, and then obviously, like you said, you got to pump the brakes a little bit and give the guy some credit, and also look at what he's working with and give him some credit for even if Sam Darnold couldn't even really succeed in that, and other quarterbacks and things like that. Give this guy a little bit of break and maybe some time for them to get some pieces around him.
And like you just touched on, Sam Darnold's looking like a guy right now with the Carolina Panthers. You know what I mean? And that's, him reuniting with Robbie Anderson, good coaching staff, a lot of good pieces. He's never had a running back like Christian McCaffrey before, even when they signed Le'Veon Bell with the New York Jets. And I heard a lot of people saying that the Jets are just going to be in this never-ending carousel of rebuild mode. You got to stop that mentality, though. You know what I mean? This is kind of the thing that's hurt them a lot. We've seen enough tape to say, all right, this kid's a player. Now it's time to get the pieces around him. Free agency, drafting. But it's just about commitment now. You know what I mean? Now it's on the Jets because a lot of the time, and this is another thing we spoke about in the past, a lot of guys' success in this league is all dependent on where they end up. Like, this is what I was talking to my man Stat about. One of the biggest reasons why Justin Fields has looked so good in a couple of the times that he's been put out to play in Chicago. Chicago's a good team. They're not a bad team. They've had bad records in the past couple seasons, and that's due to a couple, bad quarterback play and things like that. But they've got a great defense. They've got the weapons. And really, it's one of those things that's a quarterback away. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things why you see a guy like Justin Fields be able to show that he can prosper at times. And Zach Wilson and guys like Trevor Lawrence, unfortunately, they don't have that. So, it's a long season for these guys. Trust me, we feel your pain on this side too, but just let it play out. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, and obviously how many interceptions he threw, it's not great, and he deserves a little bit of blame on that too. But growing pains with these young quarterbacks, especially coming from BYU, is not in the biggest conference, but give it growing pain. He looks like he's a talent, so just give him some time, and the Jets need to help him out a little bit too.
The New York Giants have once again started 0-2. This is the 5th year in a row that they've started 0-2. They have finished with a subpar record every year outside of one. That was 2016 when they made the playoffs. And yeah, exciting game Thursday night against the Washington football team. Ended up losing it on a field goal late there to end the game. Daniel Jones played well. Defense kind of botched it for him. Dexter Lawrence offsides to kind of help the Washington football team over there. There was a couple things. I know they threw a flag on one of the touchdowns that Daniel Jones ran in. Got the play where Darius Slayton dropped the ball in the end zone. Couple things to dissect there. What can I say? I'm gonna get real. That's what I'm gonna do. Look, man. So for the people that want to say, look, Daniel Jones played well. Tell me a time when Daniel Jones didn't play well against the Washington football team. Their defense, by the way, actually does not look as strong as they did a year ago. But this is the one team that he's consistently played well against. We ask for consistency with these quarterbacks. We have consistency with Daniel Jones in one team, and that's the Washington football team. This team has too much talent on the offensive side of the ball. I even think on the defensive side of the ball, they're pretty talented. Look, I am a firm believer that the New York Giants need to after this season is over, get rid of Daniel Jones. You have, I want to say you got your first round pick and then Chicago's first round pick from that trade. Kudos to you, Dave Gettleman. One good move there from you. Proud of you. Once this season is over, get rid of Jason Garrett, get rid of Daniel Jones, and get rid of Dave Gettleman. Now, obviously, you say that that's going to be a problem because you're bringing in a new GM. The new GM did not hire Joe Judge, and that's something that me and Kayson had talked about when the hire was first made last year. Something you're going to have to deal with. But, when you got no creativity coming from your offensive coordinator and a lot of talent like that, there's just no excuses. And I don't know, man, maybe I'm too much of a fan, but I think that this team could be a quarterback away. I think that this might be not the same as the Rams, but similar if you can get the guy like Deshaun Watson's dealing with what he's dealing with right now. If he can get over that and he's available, the Giants would be doing a disservice to themselves and their fans if they did not inquire about Deshaun Watson. You have the draft capital to make that happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to be a free agent after this season. The Giants would be doing themselves and their fans a disservice if they did not bring Aaron Rodgers in for a visit to try and make him the next quarterback of the New York Giants. And if you bring two guys like that in, we're talking business now. I would put my career on the line that with one of those two in at quarterback, the Giants are a playoff team and would win the division convincingly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, the division hasn't been that great in the last couple of years, but you think about those two guys, especially Aaron Rodgers, last year's MVP. You put him with the weapons that we talked about, Galladay, Slayton, those guys, Saquon Barkley back, obviously, and even Deshaun Watson. Those are talented quarterbacks that we know can lead teams to playoffs and win games. So if you bring them over here in New York in this big market, and we've talked about this before, you get them over here in this big market and get them with the Giants, I think it'd be great. We already have the weapons. They'll just have to shore up that O-line and maybe a little bit of the defense. But obviously, you get those. I think you can put those quarterbacks, especially at Rodgers. You can put those quarterbacks in a lot of situations right now. They can turn your franchise around. But like you said, they'll be doing themselves a disservice. They don't try to get one of those guys because like the Giants are still the Giants, even though they haven't been that great over the years. And I feel like people want to come here and play for the Giants. So I to be honest, they should be able to get one of them. But maybe that's just me being a little extra. But like you said, they have to at least go out and try to get one of them, because if not, then they'll be selling themselves short. And Daniel Jones is he's has his up, he has his down, but I think like we talked about on here a lot, this year was the year to prove can he be that quarterback, and if not, it was time to kind of get rid of him. Like you said, a lot of people think he played better. A lot of people don't want to blame him for that second game, but he didn't play that well in the first game. So we have to see how it goes going forward.
He didn't play that well in the first game, and he did what he's done his whole career: fumbled the ball for a loss. You know, the team recovers his fumbles. You know, that's one thing you can. There's three things guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and Daniel Jones fumbling the football. And mind you, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo is another quarterback that might be on the move. They did draft Trey Lance second overall, and they are just like Justin Fields. They are giving him playing time as well. And I mean, Kyle Shanahan was reluctant to even name a starter very close to the season. So, I mean, that's another name to look out for. And it bothers me that people that talk about the Giants aren't talking about three veteran quarterbacks, just immediately going straight to the draft when the Giants have draft capital to bring a quarterback in. I don't know. That's just crazy to me.
And it doesn't make sense to try to go through the draft again. You kind of just tried that, and you kind of have pieces where it's kind of like you could possibly win now. So to go through the draft is kind of going to be like not a win now move when you, like I said with those quarterbacks, you can bring those quarterbacks into a lot of situations and turn it into a win now situation, just like Tom Brady going over there, and then Eli's brother Peyton when he went to the Broncos, different things like that. So bringing a new quarterback into a situation, especially a veteran quarterback who's shown that they can win, can definitely change things around, especially when you have a couple pieces over there already. So I wouldn't go the draft route again, because then you're kind of just setting the time backwards. You get those quarterbacks in, and you're going for a win now move, and you have some pieces that can put you in a win now move.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Like when you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, everybody's like, "Oh, all they did was get rid of Jameis Winston and then put Tom Brady in." No, they didn't. They added a lot of pieces on top of what they already had once they brought Tom Brady in. And that was in part due to Tom Brady saying he wanted those pieces in. So, I mean, like this, like the Giants right now, like a lot of people complained about it after the 2017 season, the 2016-17 season, that they're still trying to win now, saying to win now team. This doesn't feel like that to me right now. This, like, they spent all this money this last offseason on the offensive side. Even got Kadarius Toney is a rookie, and he's already complaining about how he's being used in his role. Like, you must have some clout in that building to be talking like that as a rookie. That's another thing that's crazy. But you did too much to just completely blow it up. I'm not speaking to the Giants. I'm speaking more to the critics now. They should do exactly what Tampa did.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, no question.
Exactly.
And you could even, like, I'm thinking of an Aaron Rodgers right now. Devontae Adams is going to be a free agent too. What if Aaron Rodgers says, "I'll sign with you guys, bring Devontae Adams with you"? You wouldn't want Devontae Adams in that receiving core with Kenny Galladay, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard. Obviously, you're going to have to move around some other pieces, but man.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And New York has never been the type to wait and go through the draft. Look at the Knicks. They're always in win now. Knicks fans, New York fans. I think I even seen you tweet it. Like, New York fans are not the wait and see kind of type of, they're a win now type of town. So there's no way you can keep going with this draft thing. You got to they need to take off that Giants hat for a second, put that Knicks hat on, and go to that win now and try to sign some top free agents, because the draft thing hasn't been working out right now.
Hitting it right on the button. I did. I tweeted that on Sunday when one of the beat writers for the Jets talked about, "So there goes that patience." But yeah, man,
That is
I don't
not
know.
New
I got
York. New York
no.
Minute, they don't got patience as a fast city, man. They trying to win now.
Yeah, I got nothing on this. I'm just gonna get more sad talking about it. I don't know if you want to
Who they
keep
got
going.
this weekend? Who's both teams have this weekend? Do you know?
Well, actually, I think Eli Manning's jersey's getting retired this weekend, so we could talk about that. But they
This
will actually. What's up? Week three, the Giants are actually going to be playing the Falcons, and you know what? That's a winnable game. I really don't think highly of the Falcons at all. But again, talking about winnable games, it's still the Giants. Washington was a winnable game, especially when you were going against their backup quarter. That's another thing, man. You can make the argument that Daniel Jones got outplayed by Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke was a backup in the XFL. If your supposed franchise quarterback is getting outplayed by Taylor Heineke, maybe he's not your franchise quarterback. But I digress. So that's go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, even the crazy thing is, a lot of teams right now who have a franchise quarterback would still probably try to make a run for Aaron Rodgers just because of the type of player that he is.
Look, this could sound crazy. Yeah, Jameis Winston did throw 30 interceptions, but he threw like 33 touchdowns. He threw for over 5,000 yards. There was some good there too, and they said, screw it, like, it's Tom Brady. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly.
Like, yeah. So Eli Manning's jersey get retired, man. Most definitely deserved. Nobody should ever wear number 10 again. We'll be talking soon when Michael Strahan's jersey gets retired against the Eagles in a couple weeks as well. They got it. That's a must-win game now. You're talking Eli Manning's jersey getting retired, two-time Super Bowl champ. Yeah, you got to show off for Eli now, man.
Who gets a win first? The Jets or the Giants?
Now I have to look at their schedule. I would say the Giants only because they're playing the Falcons this week, but I'm not even confident in that. So I'm gonna say the Giants because they're playing the Falcons, but I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't. We gotta look and see who the Jets play. They play the Broncos. I'm going with the Giants. I'm going with the Giants because I don't think the Jets will beat the Broncos on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't agree either.
And then they got the Titans, and then they got the Falcons. I will go with the Giants.
Yeah,
they're probably not beating the Titans either.
Did you get to see Thursday Night Football? I mean, excuse me, Sunday Night Football?
The Ravens game? Yes, I did.
What'd you think?
I think it's big for Lamar Jackson and them to get that win, especially the comeback. Obviously, you probably think the Chiefs win if I don't know his name right now doesn't fumble the ball towards the end of that game. But I think it's big for them. I don't know how many times he's beaten the Chiefs. I don't think it's that high, but I think yeah. See, so I think for them to finally get over that hump and to beat those guys, I think that's good for them and their confidence going forward. And I think Lamar Jackson put on a show. The thing is, when I was watching that game, I didn't know if the Ravens could put up enough points to keep up with the Chiefs. I think the Ravens showed me a little something that they could obviously beat the Chiefs and get over that hump.
I think people were a little worried about the Chiefs because the game one was a really close game with the Browns, and the Browns had a chance to win and just didn't capitalize on it. Look, man, you going in, I thought this was going to, not going in, but once the game started, I thought it was going to end up being a blowout because Lamar's first pass was a pick six, and it just wasn't in their favor. Once you get behind on the Chiefs, it's kind of hard to storm back. But this is what I mean about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, one of the most disrespected athletes in all of pro sports today. He coming into his career, they said, "You're not a quarterback. Work out for us at wide receiver. Work out for us at running back." He said, "No, I'm a quarterback." The great Ozzie Newsome, great player, great general manager. His last first-round pick as a front office executive was Lamar Jackson. And that's poetic justice to me. This is a quarterback, and he's shown and proved every single time, from the time he's won the Heisman at Louisville to when he came into the league. You got to remember, when Lamar Jackson came into the league, he took over for the Ravens at a time where it was questionable if they were even going to make the playoffs. And he went and led them all the way to the playoffs. The following year, he wins the MVP unanimously, brings them to the playoffs again. Now the conversation is he can't win playoff games. He can take you there, but he can't win playoff games. It actually reminds me a little bit of LeBron. It's just never going to be good for the critics. But, okay, he can't win playoff games. Next year, what does he do? He goes out and he wins you a playoff game. This dude, and then more things. Oh, he can run great, but he's not that great of a passer. Look at his week 1 loss against the Raiders, and the Raiders are looking like players this year. He was putting in that Thursday night game was insane, and he was making plays with his legs. That's what he does. But he was throwing bombs in that loss against the Raiders. He does it again against the Chiefs. You know what? Like, 45-yard passes to Hollywood Brown. I just don't get it, man. Like, I think that went, number one, it was him finally being able to get over the hump, because that was another thing. He can't beat the Chiefs. They even had the graphic on the game that it was he's Superman, but that's his kryptonite, the Chiefs. He gets over that hump. Like, the other thing too, they're just riddled with injuries from they don't have their first round pick wide receiver this year. He's hurt right now. They lost a bunch of players on the defensive side. They lost one of their offensive linemen, and he just goes out with the hard hat on and just shows and proves. He doesn't care about anything. Like, he was the best player on the field Sunday night, better than anybody else, and that was completely the reason why the Ravens ended up winning that game. And like, even with, it's scary to think that they have all these injuries, and I still think that they might play in the AFC Championship this year because they have Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh. And one of the best things that you could see, end of the game, Harbaugh saying, it's fourth, I think it was 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Harbaugh saying, do you want to go for it? And Lamar's like, yeah, let's go for it. It's just to end the game, 30, we're not putting the ball back in Patrick Mahomes' hand. And that sealed it. And I'm just saying, man, like, you got to stop disrespecting this kid. He's Mike Vick 2.0. He's more explosive. I think he's just as elusive, and he's a better thrower of the football. All these other things that we're talking about with him is nonsense, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things where we talked about it a while ago. It's sometimes things get stuck with you. Since he wasn't a great passer coming out, and he hasn't been a great passer, even when he develops it, that's something people are still going to knock him for. Now, unless he comes out and has just this automatic, crazy passing season that people can't deny, that's always going to be something for the critics to talk about. Like, even he had a couple interceptions in that game and things like that. That's just something for people to point at and things like that. But like you said, I like the fact that he wanted to go out there and not put the ball back in their hands and go for it and took it. So, he has that killer mentality, that Mamba mentality to go out there and get the win. And that's what you want to see from your leader, especially like you said, with all those injuries and things going on. So, like I said, they showed basically to me that they showed that, I don't say that they have heart, not that they didn't have heart before, but they show me that they can come back, they can fight adversity and things like that. And teams need to go through that through a season, especially in football, because anything can happen with that one round elimination. So to be able to show that, and the Chiefs, like you said, they've shown even when they're down. You remember their playoff run, they were down like 25 in Houston, down like 25 again. So they've shown that their offense can get on fire like that. And that's kind of why I said going into the game, I didn't know if they could keep up with their offense. So I think that the Ravens showed me a lot. They showed me a lot of heart, even more than maybe I thought they had before.
And some people are saying they're worried about the Chiefs now because of that, but the defense was just one of the things that the Ravens finally did. I feel like every time that the Ravens played the Chiefs, they were just kind of outdo the Chiefs at what they were best at. Just, go out there and throw the ball, Lamar, instead of doing what they're best at, which is running the ball. And the Chiefs defense, they just couldn't stop that run. So what did they do? They just kept running it. Lamar with 255 passing, 100 yards rushing, something around that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is bringing up the run that the Chiefs weren't able to stop the run. People are kind of saying that they're a little nervous about the Chiefs now the Chiefs defense kind of looks like what it did the first year Mahomes was a starter. And I don't think you should be worried about them because of what their defense can or can't do. I think that they still have a high prolific offense, and they're kind of in the same boat as the Packers. Like their defense has some deficiencies, but that offense is so great that they'll be fine. Like they went to the AFC Championship with a team just like that a couple years ago. Should have played in the Super Bowl if not for that offsides call. But I just don't think you should be worried about the Chiefs based on that.
Yeah, same. It's kind of like to compare it to like the Warriors. Like obviously the Warriors did have some great defenses and stuff in there, but when your offense is just that high power, like I said, they were down 25 in a couple playoffs games, things like that. You get clicking, so they could win. They could go on a run just based off their offense. Now, obviously, you'd want them to have a great defense, and that may hurt them coming into games like against the Bucks or against like the Packers, another maybe high power offense, or a game where it might come down to the stretch. But that team, that offense is just, it's one of those things where the offense is just so crazy at next level that the defense could be subpar and you still can do a lot.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. This season's kind of come out on fire, man. I think I bought. I'm not gonna lie, I bought Red Zone this year. I haven't been disappointed once at all. It's the primetime games have been like great, and shout out to Eli and Peyton. I don't know if you've been watching that ESPN2 broadcast they've been doing on Monday nights. Hey, I'm gonna say it right now if nobody else is gonna say it, Kay. I don't know if they was watching us. They low key stole our show.
What did they do?
They're just doing exactly what we're doing, except they got the game playing in the background.
Maybe one day we should come on here and put the game in the background and broadcast the game for them.
Yeah, we should, man. Um, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and they get completely blown out by the New Orleans Saints game one. Then, following, well, in that blowout of game one, Jameis Winston throws for 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. So, I was big on that one with that. But they just didn't look like they were in sync. And now everything was, oh, look, Aaron Rodgers wasn't with the team, made all this noise. And look, they just look completely out of whack. Monday Night Football comes around and, they just come in and they're down against the Detroit Lions in a divisional game, but then storm right back. And that's what I mean about, them being comparable to the Chiefs. Detroit's just a bad team. So I definitely want to see, I'm not going to say that the Packers are out of the water yet as far as being worried about them. But as far as that, panic button that was hit after week one, it ain't that serious. What were your takeaways on that game?
Same. I think that's that was one of those games where they maybe wanted to come out and make a point after that first game, because obviously they got embarrassed up there against the Saints. So I think they wanted. I think that's a game where like you guys want to rally, especially being a Monday Night Football game. They want to come show people. And Aaron Rodgers said it. It's one game. We got 17 more to go. You're not going to trip off of one game, especially not one opening game. So I think they bounce back. That's what great teams do. You get hit on the head, you get knocked down, and things like that happen, but you bounce back. So I think that's what they came out there and did. So I think they had a little bit of motivation going out there, unfortunately for the team that they were going up against. But they heard the critics. They heard what people had to say all week. They seen things. So I think especially Aaron Rodgers, like you said, he wanted to keep his head leveled and be ready to play and come out there. So I think they were just motivated off of everything that was going on. And I think they took that motivation out there and played well. That first game was maybe just a game they wasn't ready for. I think the Saints came out and played well, so you got to give credit to the Saints for coming out there and playing well. It was their home opener, even though they wasn't at home. They was in Jacksonville. It was the Saints' home opener. So you go out there. The Saints play well in their home opener. They're ready. They're energized. Maybe you wasn't ready. Aaron Rodgers, did he play in the preseason? I'm not sure if he played the preseason, so he came in and played that first game. So they just probably wasn't ready, and then they got hit on their head, and that woke them up. They came into the season maybe a little sleep. The Saints came into the season at home, ready to go. Hit them on the head, and now they're woken, and that's what you seen what happened Monday night.
Yeah, big time, big time. And like I said, I'm gonna have questions with more high powered offenses how they could deal with that because they did have the storm back from Detroit. Detroit's in a bit of a different situation. Like they're not good, but they're not terribly bad either. Like Jared Goff didn't get shipped off of LA because he's a bad quarterback. There was some internal issues with him and Sean McVay. I mean, people thought he was a bust early on, but and him being in Sean McVay's system definitely helped his career, and he helped lead them to that Super Bowl. Like, he had an amazing year when they went to the Super Bowl. But I mean, he's a high caliber quarterback who's going to be a player in this league. That should be Detroit's franchise quarterback. But again, like we talked about the Jets, and Detroit's synonymous with this because they haven't done it with anybody. They had a great quarterback in Stafford. They've got to do right by him. Get the right pieces in there and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, when you look at Goff, like his numbers weren't terrible. Yeah, he threw some picks in there, but that kind of comes once you start because they ended up getting blown out. That's going to come. You know what I mean? But yeah, like going back to that week one game, one of the things that we knew was going to hurt is Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. That was one of the reasons why you kind of just talked about it. And they usually don't play well in Florida, why New Orleans decided, hey, we're going to play our home games here for now until we can get back to New Orleans. So that was a big factor there as well. But I mean, again, like I don't think it's too much. I'm real excited. I think they're playing again Sunday night or maybe no Monday. Man, I gotta look at these. These games have been just too awesome.
Yeah, I think the
But
Packers will be all right. They got Aaron Rodgers. Even that season where they
my bad. Well, I don't want to get into that too much because we actually got a segment on that. But they're gonna be playing the Niners on Sunday night. So
that should be an interesting one.
yeah, what were you gonna say though?
No, I just said I was gonna say the Packers they'll be all right. They got Aaron Rodgers. Even if you look at the season when he said we're gonna win out, when people didn't think they were gonna win the playoffs and they ended up winning out and getting it in. So it was one game, like he said, trip too much off of it. You see how the rest of the season go. Now if they lost like the first five, maybe you'd be a little worried. But one game, it is a home opener. Teams like to play well in their home opener.
You see that one? There was a guy. I think it was DraftKings. He put a $25 bet down on a parlay, and he got everything right. And all he needed was the Lions to upset the Packers, and he would have won like 715 grand.
No, I didn't see that. That's
I was
upsetting.
rooting. I was rooting for that guy. The $25, you got everything. And he couldn't cash out because it was like a free bet or something like that. Because if at that point, if that was where I was at, I would have cashed out, like for sure. Because I had no faith in the Lions in that one. That was definitely disheartening to see.
He'll probably never go to Detroit in his life now.
Yeah, no, just he's just like, yeah.
Nah,
Um, the 49. Speaking of it, the 49ers and the Bears, we've seen this. They got Trey Lance and Justin Fields over there. They have Andy Dalton as the starter in Chicago, and then you got Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter in San Francisco. But they've been putting their rookie quarterbacks in during key moments of the game. Like Trey Lance threw a touchdown when he was in the red zone. Um, Justin Fields ran in for a touchdown. Justin Fields actually had to take over last week because Andy Dalton got hurt. What are we thinking about these here? I know a lot of people are saying like that Justin Fields should just be the starter already, like going into the season. That was the thing. But what are we thinking when we're seeing, Kyle Shanahan and Matt Nagy go with these decisions to just put instead of because usually you're the starting quarterback, you're playing. But this is a little unorthodox where we're seeing these rookies come in like rotating a couple times during these games.
yeah, it's an interesting situation, but just like we were talking about over there with the Jets, and I talked about it a lot. Sometimes the players need to learn; they need to get that experience and different things like that. So it's an interesting one. Obviously, it hasn't been going too bad. I think it could work out. You get them in there. So like some quarterbacks have to come in, you have to sit, you have to wait, and different things like that. You get to get them in there in certain plays, let them learn a little bit. And even now, with Andy Dalton being injured, he'll take over. Justin Fields will take over and be the quarterback for next week, and he already has a couple snaps under his belt and things, and played against a couple offenses. So now it's just all about learning experience. I think it's maybe weird for them to come in and maybe play a couple snaps and go in and go out and have to watch, but it could motivate them a little bit. But I think it's good for them to learn. They could be in the Jets situation where they're going out there and throwing forward picks and different things like that. So you try to bring them along slowly, knowing that eventually you're going to give them the keys to the offense, and hopefully you can learn a little bit so we don't just throw you out into the fire like that. So I don't think it's a bad idea. Not conventional, maybe a little weird because I don't know me thinking like, do I want to just go out there for a couple snaps, come out, and different things like that? But see how it turns out.
Yeah, I saw Jimmy Garoppolo was asked about it, how he kind of felt about it. He said he's just kind of dealing with it, and they had the number 2 pick for a reason. They say the best ability is availability. And nobody ever said Jimmy Garoppolo was a bad quarterback. He did help lead them to the Super Bowl. But his biggest thing, even when he wasn't a Niner, when he was with the Patriots, is injuries. And Shannon Sharp made a great point on Undisputed when he was talking about this, how, Atlanta wasn't a bad team before they got Mike Vick. Their quarterback, actually, I think was kind of the same situation, brought them to the Super Bowl, but he was hurt. You can't be mad when you put your team in a position like that. The Falcons were able to draft Mike Vick because their quarterback wasn't always available to play. The San Francisco 49ers were able to draft Trey Lance because you aren't always available to play. Your 1 year where you went to the Super Bowl was because you weren't really injured like that. But he's been with the 49ers, 3 years? And he's only had 1 season where he's been able to play. So I guess definitely unorthodox, but when you take into consideration that these guys are the future, it's definitely something interesting to see. I wonder if more teams will probably get around this thing as we get along.
Yeah, that's why I said, knowing that you're going to give the keys to the offense to these guys, you maybe don't want them just sitting there for the whole season. If you could get them in there and get them a little something, and like I said, in the situation now, Andy Dalton's down. Now he has to take over. So now it's not like he's been cold for the last 3 weeks. He got a couple plays in, got a little feel of it, and you put him out there. You never know.
Absolutely. Before we let you guys go, we got the must-watch primetime games to check out for this week 3 coming in. Number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the LA Rams. I believe I said it on this show once they got Stafford. The Rams, at minimum, to me, are going to the NFC Championship. I could see the Rams getting back to the Super Bowl. That's how good I think Matthew Stafford is. And this could be a playoff matchup in the making right here. And you got Tom Brady's playing amazing. Stafford looks great. The Rams look great. So, I mean, yeah, I'm glued to all of these, man. But that's number 1 for me. Before I get on to the next, what you got any thoughts on that game?
It should be an interesting one. I think all eyes are on Tampa right now, just to see if they could repeat and how well they're going to play. I think Stephen A said it. Are they the first team to bring back like all their players or all their starters?
Sure, they might be.
It might be the first championship team to bring back all their starters or something like that. So I think all eyes are on them. And like you said, the trade with Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, I think people are just watching the Rams, and they started off well. So it would be a great matchup.
Yeah, and then the other one we got here is Packers versus 49ers. I mean, we just talked about that. It's a rematch of the NFC Championship 2 years ago. I mean, there's going to be a lot to be said there. And that's Sunday Night Football. I mean, how about the Packers? They just get 3 primetime games in a row there. They got America's game on Sunday, week 1, then week two they're on Monday Night Football, and then Sunday Night Football. I definitely want to see if they're able to make some adjustments based on that NFC Championship game from a couple years ago. Like, one of the things that was also talked about, we said how Harbaugh went and asked Lamar, do you want to go for it? You remember in the NFC Championship game a year ago against Tampa, they didn't even ask Aaron if he wanted to go for it on 4th down. They just sent the punting unit out. So, I mean, how are they gonna be able to withstand there? We know that their defense isn't great, but is their offense gonna be able to make things happen? Because it's a team they've seen before. We know San Francisco's defense is high powered, even though the defensive coordinator is now the head coach of the New York Jets. But I mean, that's definitely gonna be a fun one to watch too.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's another situation where like all eyes are gonna be on the Packers for the whole season. With this, everything that happened during the offseason, this possibly being Aaron Rodgers' last ride with them, I think any loss, kind of like that first loss, is gonna be magnified because everything is like the Packers are on the clock. They have to. First of all, people want to know they're going to be watching Aaron Rodgers just to see every movement. Does he not really like his teammates? Is this going on? What's going on? This and that. And every loss is going to seem bigger because it's like every loss is like one more step of Aaron Rodgers' foot out the door. So I think that's going to be interesting. And then the 49ers, on their side of the case, is that we kind of like we were just talking about. There's Jimmy Garoppolo, but there's this quarterback that's behind him who is kind of basically coming for a spot. So it's interesting to see how long he can hold on to that spot and how well he has to play every game before they maybe decide to turn the reins over. So I think both games have a lot on the line for both quarterbacks and both teams.
It's interesting you say that too, because the Packers are actually kind of in a similar situation, but Aaron Rodgers is just Aaron Rodgers. So we're not talking about Jordan Love and being in this situation. He kind of just comes in if there's a blowout. But yeah, definitely I agree with you 100%, man. We gotta get on a live again. We gotta like we're supposed to do that this week, and we had some things happen, but definitely, man. It's great to be back, man. I'm happy. I'm happy to see you back doing your thing. Definitely gonna catch you on that Magic broadcast some way, somehow.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it, bro. Actually played a 3-on-3 today with Nick Anderson on my team, so that was interesting. We lost.
Okay, how'd that go?
We only played the five. I scored 2 points. He scored one. My other teammate scored one. We lost 4-5. But Nick Anderson was on my team, so that's interesting. It's been fun with the Magic so far. So definitely see me around. Hopefully maybe see me on the broadcast one day. But shout out to you too. I see you've been writing some papers, getting some papers in there with the flow wrestling and doing your thing. So shout out to you too.
Yeah, man. Rundown team, we're out here, man. Soon come. Thank you guys for tuning back in. It was great to be back, and we will see you guys definitely next week, but maybe sooner. Thank you guys for tuning in.